So, of course, I want to make a few announcements. We are in week 2. Hopefully, we know that. Um, and this is Monday, so we're going to be doing chapters 3 and chapter 10 for the week. We're going to start out with chapter 3. I want to do a quick recap, of course, because I just want to make sure that we all are understanding what is required. Now, most of you do, but there are some that listen to the recording. So a lot of what I'm saying is for those that may not come to the live session. And I really want to make sure they also understand. On Sunday, I do your grades. If you don't have a grade, it's because it just got turned in after I did the grading. So I'll finish the grading today. I am noticing a few things. Number one, please, 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 again, with the discussion posts, make sure you're following the word count. The word count is there not because I am a little crazy word count lady. It's because it's important that you say enough that your peers can respond. So if you don't say enough, they have nothing to respond to. So in order to get full credit, please make sure you are paying attention to the word count. I was a little lenient for week 1 because I know some of us, didn't all start on day 1. Some people got in a little later. So I just want to make sure we all understand. So check your grades. Make sure you're paying attention to the comments I put on your assignments. Specifically, if you turn in something and you don't have a grade, I did notice, like, especially with the informational interview and the mock interview, the informational interview, all I wanted. Sorry, not sure if I muted myself by mistake. All I want to know is who you're going to interview with. Some people did the interview, so they turned in the interview. I need a name of the person you're interviewing with. Also, with the resume, some people turned in their resume, don't pay attention to what the assignment is asking you. Like you don't get credit just for turning in something, you get credit for turning in what the assignment is. So please don't just put anything in the assignment box. Make sure you're putting what is requested of you. If we request that you meet with your career services to review your resume, don't give me your resume because that's not the assignment. The assignment is to meet with your career services. This week you'll be turning in your resume, your signed resume from career services. So please just make sure you're reading the assignments thoroughly and to ensure that you're doing it correctly. That's why we say make sure you go all the way to the end of the assignment. I know some of the assignments may be a bit confusing because it explains the assignment first, and then it tells you what to do. So just patiently read through the assignment so you're turning in what you're supposed to. Okay? All right. So this week we're going to talk about preparing for the interview. And, I like this week because it's all about demystifying what happens in an interview. A lot of us always have questions on what should we talk about in the interview? What do they want from me? Do I oversell, undersell? What do I do? And the other part of, building your career, not just for the interview, is when you're out and about and you're networking or doing whatever they talk about, what networking is supposed to be. Like, what do you say when you network? A lot of times we're fearful that we're going to say too much, we're going to say too little. But, chapter 3, which you'll be reading this week, talks about how to really sell yourself. I mean, in essence, it's kind of what you're doing. But it's really about your brand. So when we think about branding, we think about that in terms of a product. And I know you may say, I'm a product. Well, yeah, the services that you provide is a product, right? So you are providing a service. And yes, many of you may say, well, okay, if I look to the left or right of me, we're all in the welding program, or we're all in the VA program, or we're all in the HVAC program. But can we all agree that you're not all the same? Like, yes, you all have arrived at this particular moment together, but you all bring something different to the table. So your brand is going to be very different from the guy or girl next to you, right? It's going to be very different because your brand is a culmination of all of your past experiences and knowledge that you are bringing along with you. And when you are out, you know, networking or getting a job or running your own business, you have a brand because you're a service, right? It's not like you are providing a product, you're providing a service. So you have to build your own personal brand. That's why LinkedIn and other professional social media accounts are so critical because you're building your brand. And you have to ask yourself, what is your current brand? Do you have one? You know, what is that? Well, it's your reputation. It's all built around what you're building up, because what would a former employer say about you and your brand? Would they say, oh, this person is, highly skilled? Is this person has great leadership qualities? Does this person bring value to the business? I would rehire them in a second. Like, what does your brand say about you? It may not have been as critical in, non-career jobs that we've had in the past. Even though I told you last week, I'm very excited about, what they said about me at my first job, because I'm overachiever. But when you get a career, your brand is going to be very, very important, because it's not just about someone calling a reference for you or things of that nature. Remember, once you get into an industry, the pool gets small now, and then thanks to technology, you're going to get to know who the key players are in your industry. You're going to see the same people, out and about, especially if you go to trade associations and things of that nature. So people are going to get to know you, right? And you don't want to burn your bridges. I hate to say it, but we probably all know someone that has burnt their bridges in a specific thing, whether it's a specific industry or specific whatever, right? And you don't want to go around and let your personal brand be something like, oh, you can't depend on this person. This person's too hot tempered. This person never finishes a project rather. Like, you don't want that on your brand, because then it's going to be harder and harder for you to build yourself, build your business, right? So there are some factors that contribute to a great personal brand, like your authenticity. That's really big. Your consistency, what makes you different. All of that is going to be important for you, because remember, you're providing a service. If you're in a business, it's even more critical, because now you're competing on a business scale, not just an individual scale. But yes, even something as simple as just you and your career, you have a brand. And I want you to start thinking about, what is my brand? What do I want my brand to be? What do I want to be known for? That's going to be important. I always like people that decide, okay, I'm going to be known for being a knowledge expert. I don't know why my microphone keeps muting. It's something that, thank you for letting that person in. It's something that you know, people seek after, right? Like a lot of times people say, oh, well, you know, I want to be the boss. I want to, be in leadership. And that's a power play for sure. But another power play is being the go-to person. That also brings power. Is that not true? Like being the person that kind of knows everything. Sometimes the boss even goes to the person that knows everything. Being that knowledge expert is what I've always sought to be, because I like being, well, I don't like being, but I kind of ended up being the person that if someone needed to know something, they would be like, okay, go ask Taylor, because we use a lot of last names, especially in the military. Go ask Taylor, right? They would even joke and say, go see Taylor, because C is my first initial. And that has kind of been my brand for a long time. If people need something, they say, go see Taylor. Which is cool with me because I like that. I'm definitely a knowledge person. When the chapter 3 talks about your personal brand statement, why do you need a statement? So think about it. If you're out and about, let's say you're at an airport, you can be at an association meeting, you're doing some type of networking, maybe you have your own business, maybe you're looking for a job, and your friend introduces you to someone from a company that you want. Like, what are you going to say? Like, you're going to stumble all over yourself? How are you going to present yourself? It's good to have what we call a personal brand statement at the ready, which is typically 1 or 2 sentences where you kind of present yourself. Hi, my name is Cynthia. If I'm meeting a stranger at an event, I may say, um, I currently work in, higher education. I've been, teaching for about 25 years. And if you're ever in need of a finance instructor, I'd love for you to give me a call, right? That may be my statement, right? And what did I do in that statement? What did I say? Anybody want to talk about what are some of the things I said in my statement? I'll say it again. Hi, my name is Cynthia. I currently work in higher education. I've been there for 25 years. I teach finance. If you're ever in need of a finance instructor, I'd love for you to give me a call. Did you hear any of my skills? I talked about, go ahead, Ian.
The main thing you introduced was that you immediately brought to attention what your skills are. You are a finance teacher, and so you're letting it known what kind of market you're in and trying to see where the market's open.
That's exactly right. So you want to, that is almost, we call it an elevator pitch, and you'll be doing that today. But they call it an elevator pitch because, like, back in the day, you'll hear me say that again, back in the day, you know, if you work at a huge company, it used to be like if you want to get to the next level, you had to kind of bump into the people, what they call them C-suite. Not sure if you guys have heard of that before, but the guys that makes the decisions, guys and girls that makes the decisions. And you may meet them in an elevator. Like, what would you say? How would you stand out? Or if you're bumping into someone at a lunch line or an airport, you got to have your elevator pitch at the ready, because you're a stranger, right? And so stranger danger, if you will, but you want to disarm the person right away. You want to let them know what's your point, right? Because of course, if you talk to a stranger, everybody's gonna be like, who are you, right? But if you right away introduce yourself, tell them what it is, who you are and what you want, it lets the person understand what's about to happen, the type of engagement. And I also talked about my goal. I made the ask, right? So if anyone's ever been in sales, you make the ask, right? So what was my ask? What was my ask? Or request? Or what did I let them know? What did I say at the end? I said, if you're ever in need of an instructor, let me know, right? You never walk away from the situation and not tell someone the ask. That doesn't make sense. right? So how do you build this personal brand statement? So you want to try to define yourself. Start with your reputation. I said I've been in business for 25 years. That gives me some type of reputable starting point, right? They say, okay, well, obviously this person has been doing what she's been doing for a minute, right? She's just not just starting, and you may say, well, oh my goodness, what if I'm just starting? Well, that's okay too. You can say I'm transitioning, right? I have a background in, maybe you're going up for a job in HVAC. And, a lot of times with HVAC, you may be doing commercial, maybe you're dealing with customers. Maybe you don't have a lot of experience in HVAC, but you have a lot of experience with customers. So your qualification could be what? I've been in the customer service industry for 10 years, right? I have a background in customer service. I would, and I'm transitioning into this new career. I would love an opportunity to work with your institution, right? As if you're looking for a job. Or I would love the opportunity to learn more about your organization. That's like if you're doing an informational interview. But the key is to really, try to craft your 1 or 2 sentence statement. You know, you can list some type of skills, hard or soft skills. Like me, I just said customer service because maybe I don't have a lot of technical skills. But what if I did have some technical skills, like saying, okay, I've been teaching for 25 years. That's technical skills, right? You want to keep it short, right? Keep it short because, like I said, you want to disarm the person. You don't want to ramble because then they're like, oh my God, this person is weird. And also, you make sure you say things that are important for them to know. If I'm talking to a dean at a school, I don't want to go on and on and on about how I used to work in the banking industry and how I'm really good at, crunching numbers. The person's gonna be like, what? What do you want? Right? I want a job. So that's what I'm gonna focus on, So I'm gonna make that a little succinct so they'll understand really quickly. Now, after that point, if they want to continue to engage, what will typically happen is they'll start asking questions, right? They'll start asking you questions, and that'll let you know whether they have time to speak with you or not. But this is why you want to, pay attention to what's happening, but keep your sentences short and then wait to see what happens. Wait to see if they say, oh, I don't have time to talk right now, but here's my card. Oh, go to this website. Oh, we just opened up something. Call this person. Like people do like to help, believe it or not. It's just they got to know what you want. So you can't be afraid to ask, right? Some people are not afraid to ask. Some people are. Now, I'm going to tell you, even though I'm a bit of a shy person, when it comes to something I want, I ask, right? Especially if it's like information. I'd be like, hey, can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how to do that? I was really big on asking a lot of questions. Thank goodness for that. So, where can you apply this personal brand statement? You'll notice when you start talking to career services, if you've ever looked at your resume, have you ever noticed that summary statement at the top or that qualification statement? A lot of times that is your personal brand statement. You just put it on your resume. I know some of us may have said, like, what is this top statement for? So if you've ever wondered, that's what it is. And typically you can even extract your personal brand statement from that summary. So if any of you have a resume currently, and we're going to be asking you to come up with a statement today, that's part of your question for your assignment. If you already have a resume, you can kind of take that summary statement and pare it down and make it your personal brand statement. Just make sure that you add your name to it. You don't always have to have an ask. Sometimes your ask can be something as simple as, here's my card, or I would love if you can refer me to, or how do I get to, you want to have something, but it doesn't have to be, can I have a job? Does that make sense? Any questions so far? You can also put that statement on your social media accounts. I'm not sure if anyone here has a LinkedIn yet, but you know, LinkedIn, because it is your portfolio, right? We know by now LinkedIn is your portfolio, and it typically asks you to do like a statement at the top so people know what you're all about and what you want and what's the goal, right? So you can use that statement to go at the top of your LinkedIn account or any other type of portfolio that you may have. Here's some examples in the book. It shows, what a statement can look like. A lot of these in the book kind of looks like the statements that you would use on your resume. A creative problem solver who can combine mathematical skills and science expertise. Do you notice how they combined both their hard and soft skills? Do you guys see that? A writer who is able to blend communication and critical thinking. Look at how clever that is. A driven team player who uses leadership skills to motivate. So, does that mean, Miss Taylor, that soft skills are as important as hard skills? Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes even more so, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at your job if you're not good at dealing with people. Because unfortunately, people come with the territory. Unfortunately, for some of us introverts, right? So you got to have good people skills just as much as you got to have good technical skills, right? A production manager, just reading the last bullet here, a production manager who implements soft skills to continually promote client based, customer dedicated deliverables. That statement is even leading with their soft skills. Let me I did notice that there were one or two people that had a difficult time identifying the skills. I'm not sure if they didn't read the assignment well, but in last week's assignment, we were supposed to go to Indeed. And I don't want you guys shortchanging yourselves because I see a lot of people, and I get it. Being in school, you're just trying to get through it. You're like, let me just get these assignments out the way so I can graduate. But you don't shoot yourself in the foot, guys, because these are real skills that you're going to need on the outside. So when we say go to Indeed or go to a website like LinkedIn and identify those hard and soft skills, you're going to need it for your resume. You're going to need it for your portfolio. A lot of times when you're interviewing, you're going to need to be able to articulate both your hard and soft skills. What if the interviewer brings that up and because you didn't care to find out what that was, you don't know what the person's talking about. Now you're just rambling. And trust me, as someone that has interviewed a lot of people throughout my career, we pick up on it very quickly when someone doesn't know what they're talking about, right? Maybe some of you have been in an interview and you've interviewed people before. You pick up very quickly. And what tends to happen once you know someone doesn't know what they're talking about? You stop listening, right? You don't want that to happen to you. I tell people, you don't know what you don't know, but others do. So when you say something and it's incorrect, here's a hint, right? Here's a key. You know, if a person disengages with you, that means they feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Huh? That's not a good thing in business, my friends. If you're having a conversation with someone and they disengage, they find a reason to leave the conversation, that typically means that something you've said or lack thereof has given them the impression that you don't know what you're talking about. That's a red flag, right? A green flag is when the person wants to continue the conversation. So that's another reason why it's important for you to be knowledgeable in your industry because this is business. It's very different from personal stuff, right? We see it happening in politics now. There's this huge um, contrast between what businesses want and what the rest of us want that are not in business. And you can see it playing out because making money is one thing, social, economic, cultural stuff is another. And when it comes to business, People want to know that they're dealing with someone that can contribute and add value, right? If you're owning your own business, and I tell people to put your entrepreneurial hats on when you're out there selling yourself and trying to get a job or build your career, put your entrepreneurial hats on. What type of person do you want working for you? Sometimes it baffles me, and it really baffles me what's happening in the world right now. Because if I were a company and I was selling a service or a product, excuse me, but most businesses want the most knowledgeable, the most diverse, the most whatever people possible, because they want money. They don't have time for that. They want something that is the color green. That's the only thing they care about. So you have to really put your business hat on. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So a commercial with chapter 3 discusses is what I've already really kind of talked about, is that elevator pitch. And again, 1 or 2 sentences. It should be short. The time it takes you to go from the first floor to the third floor, wherever you're getting off on the elevator, 30 seconds, whatever. You introduce yourself, qualify yourself, and state what you want, right? Because that's how long you have in the elevator. But typically, if you're somewhere else, you may have a little bit more time, but you want to keep it that short. Does that make sense? So how do you develop this statement? Well, kind of already talked about that too. You can actually take if you have a resume, you can start with that summary that you have, or once you build your commercial, you can add it to your resume. But think about your personal brand. Think about what you bring to the table, how long you've been doing something. What are your hard and soft skills? Like, I would write this stuff down, because now many of us get uncomfortable talking about ourselves when it comes to that. Like, who wants to go around selling themselves? That sounds kind of uncomfortable. But once you frame it in terms of, looking at it from a technical standpoint, I introduce myself. I qualify myself by talking about how long and what I've done, and then I'd say what I want. That seems more doable. It doesn't seem so, out of this world. It doesn't seem so abstract now, right? So figure out step 2, figure out what your skills are. Step 3, determine exactly what is being sought from that contact. Another business technique is to know what you want. Donald Trump talked about it in his Art of the Deal. I used to read some of his stuff way back in the day when I was in real estate, way back in the day. And part of that is knowing what you want. But even if you're in sales, anybody's ever been in sales or maybe currently in sales, they tell you you should know what you want from that meeting before it happens. You should already know what you're willing to accept, what the minimum is you would accept, and what the maximum is. So when you're meeting someone, let's say you're networking, let's say you're going to talk to someone, maybe you're going to talk to your uncle about a position, or about learning more about your company, or learning about his company. You should know, okay, look, my goal is to get this person to give me a referral. My goal is to try to get into this company. So at minimum, I need them to give me a name. Now you know what it is you're trying to do. When I go to this networking event, my goal is to meet 3 people. Know what it is you're trying to do. That way, when you go to do it, you're in the driver's seat, right? So state your motivations for your career direction. That's important too. I'm looking to transition. I'm looking to build. I'm looking to expand. I'm looking to start. Tell people what it is you want. Any questions on that? This is going to be important because you're going to be writing your personal statement. So I want to make sure you're understanding. You might want to take a picture of the steps, but if you don't remember what I said, make sure you come back to slide 11, because this is kind of how you frame it out. Question?
Yeah, I can't see your screen.
Anybody else can't see my screen? Oh, it stopped sharing. Thank you so much for telling
No
me.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess they thought, oh, she's just rambling. Why is it not showing? I'm showing it, but let me see.
It says this content can't be displayed. You might not have permission. There it goes. Now I can see your screen.
Yes, thank you. Let me do one thing here. One second. I'm just opening it again, guys. 1 second. Can you guys see it now?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm just rambling. Thank you so much.
No, I thought you were waiting. That's why I didn't say anything.
Oh, no. Well, yeah. Yeah, thank you for telling me. This system here, it's a labor of love, Microsoft Teams. We love it because it allows you guys to get the information later, but sometimes it's not the best because it is a cloud-based system. That means anybody that's subscribed to Microsoft Teams is using it, so it glitches a lot. All right. So here are the steps that I was talking about. Do you guys see them? Yeah. All right. So sorry, guys. Step 1, review. Step 2, summarize. Step 3, figure out what it is you're trying to say. Step 4, know what motivates you before you write it. And this obviously presentation will be available if you need to go back and take a peek at it. Now, this is also something I've mentioned, but just to go back, in order to build your commercial, like when you write your statement out, whether you put it on your resume, you use it in LinkedIn, you want to pull from it. So again, if you already have your resume, that means you kind of work with career services, or maybe you already know what you're doing, you already have it. You can kind of pull from that summary at the top, because that really is where your commercial is coming from. And remember, your commercial is nothing more than how you introduce yourself when you are networking, right? Now, it's not how you introduce yourself at the club. Don't do that. That's going to sound weird. But when you are networking is how you introduce yourself. Whether it's someone that is introducing you to someone in the industry, you're at an event, you are trying to get a job, those environments is how and when you want to use your commercial. So it's good to rehearse your commercial, right? Some of us rehearse our commercial just by doing it. Some others of us rehearse our commercial in the mirror, however you do it. Like if you're not used to selling yourself, you probably need to rehearse. There's nothing wrong with that. But rehearsing is key. But sometimes practice makes perfect, because the more comfortable you get in your industry, like some of us are doing this for the first time, like I'm becoming a welder for the first time. I'm not used to all these words. I'm in a VA program. I'm not sure, how to speak to customers, and being in VA, that's going to be kind of difficult because you're talking about concerned pet parents, and how do I engage with this person? So that's kind of nerve-wracking already. Or if you're going and trying to get a job in the VA, anything in the medical industry is always nerve-wracking because you're talking about a life, not that the stuff that some of others of us do isn't important, but anytime you talk about a life, that's even more nerve-wracking because, people are going to scrutinize you to make sure you really know what you're doing. Am I right, VA people? I'm sure they can tell you. All right. Yeah, like you're talking about someone's dog or animal, and that's the part of the family. You don't want to mess that up. No, 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 no. right? We don't want that drama. But, you know, and say HVAC people too, because we live in Florida. That HVAC system is almost like part of the family. Let me tell you what. I got in my car the other day and my air conditioner wasn't working well and I almost died. And my daughter's like, can we? I'm like, no, we can't go anywhere because we can't survive without air. Can you imagine? You know, so the air conditioner is part of the family, right? So they're very critical that you know what you're doing, right? But we can say that about a lot of things. All right. So just to reiterate, and look at us getting out a little early, just to reiterate what I talked about at the top of the hour. Check what's going on with yourself. I don't want anyone to have a great surprise. On Thursday, you're already going to be doing your midterm assignment. I know it goes fast. This is an accelerated class. You know, what is your current grade? Are you missing any assignments? If there's any of you, you know, because the cutoff for week 1 was yesterday, if there's someone that has any type of extenuating circumstance, I sent you a note if I haven't graded something because it was probably the wrong assignment in the wrong place. Make sure you read my note. I will make a few exceptions if you need to turn it back in. But if you get a 0 on something, it's probably because you did not do it correctly or you haven't turned it in. All right. Remember, you're in control. This is your grade, not mine. All right. All right. So here's your participation. I want you to create a personal brand statement. A personal brand statement. Now, here's the key. You're also going to be doing a commercial as your assignment. So you're going to have to videotape yourself. So you might as well make the statement first. So in your participation question, I want you to try to create a statement. Don't overthink it, guys. It's 1 or 2 sentences at best, right? And now you guys know what goes into it, right? So don't be afraid of it. Are we comfortable with what goes into creating this personal brand statement? Does anyone have questions on what goes into it? You guys make me
How
feel
are
so.
we supposed to record ourselves?
Okay, I'll do that in 2 seconds. There's several ways you can do it. You can do it on your phone. You can do it in the system, but if you are having issues with technical stuff, your campus can help you. I always feel bad because as a technical person myself, it's like if I was physically there with you, I could do it for you, help you out. But as such, I'm not. So we refer you to your campus. But you know, the quickest way is just to do it on your phone and to upload it. But I'll go over there in 2 seconds. Okay, so once you create this personal brand statement, like I said, 1 or 2 sentences, don't overthink it. That is your participation question. Okay, any questions on this before we get into the recording part? All right, your assignment is to create an elevator pitch, right? Basically, you're going to read your statement. Once you create the statement, then read it, right? Now, how do you do that? In the assignment, I think there is a how-to. There's some help on how you can record yourself. I'm pretty sure there is. Let me stop sharing because it stopped sharing again. Did you guys notice that? Oh my God. Yeah, so this happens when I'm not using the cloud-based system, so I think that's what happens. But since you guys don't see my screen anymore, right?
I still
I
see
can
it.
see it.
You still see it. It's so weird. It's telling me, oh, it is. Okay, I can stop sharing. Let me stop sharing because I want to get to, okay, I stopped sharing. I want to toggle over to the classroom and
I'm
I'm
sorry,
just
but
going
can
to,
anybody hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just having difficulty trying to find out how to get on the live, so I finally
Oh,
figured. Sorry.
Yeah, we've seen you for a while, Francis.
Thank you.
I let you in. I saw you, honey. All right, so in the assignment, I'm just gonna go to it, but make sure you read it because there's some really good how to. There's some really good how to. Let me go to week 2, elevator pitch. So in the assignment, it talks about, I'm just gonna scroll down, how to record your video in Canvas. There's a PDF there. I forgot who asked, I think it was Ian. And you can read through that PDF. You can also use your phone, and when you go to upload your assignment, it gives you an option to upload video. So the same way you can use text, you can upload a document, you can upload the video. So that, I'm not sure if that is your specific question on how to do the video or how to upload it, but it is a couple steps. Once you do the video, you still have to upload the video. But the uploading the video is the easiest part because you're really just clicking on, upload a video. Does anybody need me to show them that or how to upload or?
If you could include that into the recording, I would appreciate it.
Okay, so the recording is a PDF, so I can't add to it because it's already set up for you. But let me just share my screen one more time, and I can just show you how to upload. That's simple enough. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go to view as a student, right? So if I was a student and I want to start my assignment, you guys know you click that button. All I'm going to do is here, you see where it says media, because you can upload a file, you can do text, or you can do media. And then you can record or upload your media. So literally I can click here and I can record it here, which is what the video is going to talk about, the PDF, or I can upload it because I've already done it. And that really just goes to if you've already done it and you've downloaded it onto your computer. If it's just audio, like you just recorded, and I'm okay with that. You don't have to do video. You can do audio or video. You just click which one you're uploading. If it's video, I just hit video and I just go to, it's going to take me to whatever's on my computer, right? Or if I want to record, then I'm just going to, sorry, it's moving slow here. But you see what's happening, Ian? Oops. Shouldn't have done that. Somebody was there with me. All right, so upload media. You see that? But you saw when I hit record, it was going to allow me to record myself.
I saw it.
Yeah. All right. So that's how you do that. So let me stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions? But like I said, okay.
I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, my question was, do you need a assignment for today, the recording and answer the questions as well?
Yeah, so you have 2 assignments. One is your participation question. So remember, in order to get attendance, you have to do that participation question by 12:30. So that statement I told you to do, make sure you get it done by 12:30 and you turn it in. Now, the recording is your assignment. It's due today, but technically you have until Sunday to get it done. But remember, you have assignments every day, so please don't wait until Sunday to get it done.
Yeah.
But your assignments you have throughout the week. But that participation question you have to get done today by 12:30.
Okay.
So if you need more time to read chapter 3, kind of understand what the teacher's saying, like I totally get that. you want to have time to read the video. Maybe you've never done it before, or maybe you want to wait till you get with someone to help you. Yeah, I'm fine with that if you turn it in the next day or whatever.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm more so focused on the participation questions because last week I had
Yeah.
trouble with signing on in the live. So I called
Yeah,
Miss
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
finally understand. So I'm on now. So I'm actually really playing catch up as far as understanding how the process go, but I'm getting it.
No, hey, we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We all, none of us knew until we did, right? So there you go. Don't feel bad about that. But really lean on your student services and your librarians. That's what they're there for, to help you guys with this online course, because not everybody has done online before. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
So don't feel bad about that. All right, guys. I'm gonna stop recording.